Hello everyone, and thank you very much for watching. This is me, Mr. P, and welcome back to another episode of Proxmox on my old laptop. First of all, thank you very much for warm welcome to episode 1. I truly appreciate the amount of people watched the video and subscribed due to the content I provided in episode 1. Hopefully episode 2 will give you even more information about the Proxmox that is running right now on, like I said, on my old laptop. Like everything in life, we need to have a starting point, and in this video I'll show you how you can create the virtual machine template and the container template. We will create a template for virtual machine using DietPi OS. And here it is. We're going to use that. DietPi OS supports a lot of hardware, a lot of single board computers, and you can run that on a computer via BIOS or UEFI. Obviously, we're going to use the Proxmox, so that's what we're going to do. And we will follow the DietPi instructions, how to set up DietPi on the Proxmox as a Proxmox virtual machine. Just one thing they not mentioned in the setup process is we need to make sure that the virtual drive will be in the file format of QCOW2, and I'll explain why during this process. And for the container, we will set up the Ubuntu container for our future container, or LXC or Lexi. I don't really know how to pronounce that correctly, but basically LXC containers on a Proxmox. So let's begin. First thing, to setting up the DietPi container or DietPi virtual machine inside the Proxmox, we need to set up ourselves a virtual machine. So we're going to start by clicking on the blue button that says create virtual machine, and I'll name that 999. The reason for 999 is that I like to keep all my containers starting with number 1, all the virtual machines with number 2, all the templates with number 9, all the just temporary virtual machines and containers, just like a quick setup, test something and then delete, will be at number 7, I think. Yeah, we're going to use 7. Anyway, the more the progress will happen in this series, the more you understand like why I'm doing these numbering schemes. But I like to keep this as 999 for virtual machine template, and we're going to call this DietPi. Under OS, I'm just going to click do not use any media because we will import DietPi drive. Under systems, I need to select Q35, and I'll take QEMU Agent. To have QEMU Agent running a virtual machine will help Proxmox to manage that virtual machine much better. So we're going to install that. This is one of the things that has not been mentioned here inside the DietPi Proxmox setup, but I'll do that. I'll get the QEMU Agent installed. Under disks, doesn't matter what we're going to choose because we're going to wipe this disk anyway. Under CPUs, I'll put this as a 2 cores. And memory, 2 GB of RAM is fine. Under network, everything's by default. And under confirm gives you exactly what you just all set up, all the list. I'm just going to click finish. So that is finishing. And we see a padlock, which is turned into a question mark, and it will stop for a second now. Come on. Let's create this one. Here we go. We have a virtual machine created. We will not start this because we have a virtual drive assigned, which is blank. We need to import DietPi OS virtual drive into this. So I will select DietPi, then hardware, and under hard disk, SCSI 0. I'll select that. I'm going to click detach, say yes, I accept that. Unused disk 0, I'll select that, and I'll say remove, and click yes. So right now this virtual machine has no basically virtual hard drive assigned to it. So we need to assign one. Let's go inside the DEX or inside the Proxmox. Inside the Proxmox node, click on a shell, and we need to go inside the home folder, and that's what everything will happen. Actually, what we're gonna do, we're gonna go via Termux because the Samsung DEX and where things happening with that. So we're gonna go inside home. NetData, I can remove NetData. This was something I was testing previously. So that's it. I changed directory to home. And if we follow the DietPi setup, first thing what we need to do, we need to update, upgrade, and install P7-zip. So that's what we're going to do. So first thing, we're going to quickly run update command to check if everything is updated. And now we're going to run a quick command to check if everything is upgraded. As you can see, everything is done. Now let's install P7-zip program. apt install P7-zip and press enter. I already got that installed, so which tells me that nothing new has been installed, upgraded, or removed. Yours will do installation, which will take about 10 seconds or less. So I got that one installed. Let's check if the folder list home folder is empty. I will go and follow the instructions. I need to right now copy this line which says curl space dash capital O equals and etc. I'm going to copy that. Go inside the Termux, left click and hold, choose paste and press enter. And now Proxmox will then load DietPi virtual drive from the DietPi servers. As you can see, it's 196 megabytes in size and is done 31%. So let's wait for this to finish. Download has finished, so right now we need to extract. And if we follow the guide, this is the command we need to run to extract this file. So we go back inside the Termux, left click and hold, press paste and press enter. And right now it's extracting the virtual drive for DietPi OS. As you can see, it's flying. It's already past 70%, so it's going to be done in a matter of seconds. So right now, if I'll list the content of home directory, actually let's do this way, I can see that I have DietPi Proxmox.7z file, which is archive, and then I have QCOW2. So right now we need to import QCOW2 into virtual machine, into the virtual machine we created. To do that, you need to write a command inside the folder where you have a DietPi QCOW2 file, qm space import disk, come on, give ID number of your virtual machine. In my case, it's 999. If you named this virtual machine ID number differently, you need to provide your ID number. So yours might be 100 or 123 or 666, for example. Next, we need to give a file name, what we want to import, which is going to be DietPi.QCOW2. Then a location where we want to store this file. And in my case, it's going to be local DEX. To double check if a local DEX supports virtual drive, you need to go inside the data center, click on a storage, then click on a local, click edit, and make sure at this moment that everything is selected. Yours might be something like this. Just make sure that all these are turned in blue and click OK. And then under content, you see a list of all the stuff that this drive will support. In my case, everything is fine. Let's go back here and I'll type local. And that's it. And if I run this command now, let's do it. If I run this command now, it will import the file inside in a .raw format. The problem with that yes, it will work. The virtual machine will start and you will be able to use that file, the virtual machine, with the DietPi.raw format. But the problem with that is the snapshots. You won't be able to take a snapshot of this virtual machine if the drive or OS drive is in the raw format. We need to change that into QCOW. So I'll select that which we just imported for this demo. That is removed. I'll go back inside the Termux and I'll run the same command, but at the end I will put -- target equals QCOW2 and press enter. And now if the local target, oh, it's not a target, my apologies, it's actually format, not the target. Here we go. And now at the end it says import disk as, and it says .QCOW2. So it's imported the drive in the format that I want, and it showed up here under my virtual machine under hardware. I will double click on that and I'll click add. And right now drive is added as a C drive, for example, if we're talking Windows, as a C drive. To make sure that this will be used to boot, I need to click on options and then boot order, double click on that, turn this on and drag all the way to the top. So right now drive will be first, CD-ROM, virtual CD-ROM is second, and the network boot will be third. Click that, go back in the console and click start. While this is loading, I will go inside the Termux and I will exit SSH connection from the Proxmox, because we will need to go back and connect to that once this is fully loaded. So let's wait for DietPi OS to load and give me an IP address of 117. Let's go inside Termux and SSH into that IP address, 192.168.178.117. Okay, it tells me that I already used that before, so I'm just going to quickly remove all the known sources. I don't think that's going to happen with you, but just in case, if the IP address that you already connected previously. My workaround, I'm not sure if it's a good or bad thing, I just go inside the hidden folder of SSH and then I delete known sources. That means that all the new connections will have to present me with a fingerprint accept, yes or no. So I'm going to say yes on that. And by default, username is root and the password is DietPi. Press enter. And now is going to be a setup process of the DietPi OS, which is running inside this virtual drive with which we attach to it. So while it's running, I'll just show you the thing about snapshots. Because I'm using QCOW2 file format of virtual drive, I can click task, take snapshot and say, let's say it's fresh install. Click yes. And in a matter of seconds, it's done a snapshot. So if I right now will mess up, I can go back to this point in time, which is 9 minutes past 1 p.m. at like 47 seconds. Exactly what was happening in that virtual machine. That's what's going to happen. That's where it's going to take me back. I'll change the password for admin and change the password for user. And then I'll go and click install and click OK. And opt out from this now. So here we go. We have DietPi set up. First thing I like to do, quickly change the hostname by running command dietpi-config, selecting option 6, and then second option, and change that to DietPi Template. Then this hostname will show up in my network list, and it's going to be easier for me to know which VM I just set it up. To make sure that hostname takes effect, I need to reboot the virtual machine. Virtual machine successfully rebooted and logged in back via SSH, and right now I have a hostname of DietPi Template. A couple of things I want to install here inside this template, and I know that in the future I will definitely use them, is Docker and Docker Compose. To do that, I need to run dietpi-software and search for software and type Docker and press enter and select those two, ID number 134 and 162, click OK, install and click OK, and wait for DietPi to install Docker and Docker Compose. Docker and Docker Compose installed. Another thing I'd like to install is SAMBA server. So go back in dietpi-software, search for software and type SAMBA and select SAMBA server, click OK, install and click OK here and wait for DietPi to install SAMBA server for me. So we have right now Docker, Docker Compose and SAMBA server running. Another thing I want to install in here and be ready every time that I'm creating a new virtual machine from this template is to have Portainer running on here. We will install two different Portainer, not like a versions, but two different Portainer systems. One is going to be Portainer and another one is going to be Portainer-Agent. Portainer as a whole Portainer, it's basically a web GUI that you can use to control Docker containers much easier, and it's just all the graphs and it's just more user friendly than instead of going and doing CLI. And the Portainer-Agent is more like a node. That means that one Portainer master can control a lot of Portainer-Agents. This will make sense when we're going to start creating our virtual machines or more virtual machines. But at this moment, I want to make sure that Portainer is installed on this template every time that I am creating a new virtual machine. I will create a folder. First of all, I will change directory into a mount, DietPi, underscore user data. And in here, we have a folder, which is music, pictures, video. Docker data is automatically created during Docker installation and downloads. I'll change the user to say DietPi. To change the user in DietPi, you need to type su space DietPi. And I'll create a folder called Docker and navigate inside the Docker. First folder will be called Portainer, and another folder we will create Portainer-Agent. I will change directory to Portainer, and in here I will create a folder called Portainer-Data. And then inside this file, can't even speak, inside this folder I will create a file called Docker compose.yml. And let's copy this inside here. You'll find this inside the description below. I'll copy and paste that in there. So one thing we're gonna do, we're gonna uncomment that. We don't want that. And where it says Portainer data, I need to add /. And where it says volumes, I can comment that out. We don't want that. And at the end, oh no, it's actually here. So it's restart always. So basically, this is a Docker Compose file instructing Docker to start a service with the name Portainer. We're going to use this image. Portainer, actually, this is the right one? Yes, it looks like I picked the wrong one. So we're just going to delete all of it. Control K deletes entire line. And this is the one we need to use. Here we go. So what's going to happen here? So Docker will start the service by name Portainer. This is the image we're going to use. Container name will be Portainer. Restart unless stopped. That means the container will be, Docker will monitor this container and restart it every time when it stops, unless you as an admin will stop it. Then security options will leave as default volumes. dot slash Portainer data, and the port is 9000. Dot slash means is the current folder and one in. That means that if I'm going to run this inside this folder, it's going to go inside the Portainer-data, and that's just where it's going to store all of the stuff. So let's start this command running sudo docker -compose space up space -d. That means that please create the basic Docker, run this command and set it up, this container, and run it. Up it means run, start, and -d means detach. It means run in the background. I don't want to see all the command line stuff showing up here. So right now it's starting. Let's wait for this to finish, and when that is done, we will set up Portainer-Agent. Actually finished as soon as I stopped talking. So if we're gonna run docker ps, actually sudo docker ps, I can see the Portainer is running. Let's double check IP address, which is 117. If I go to a browser and type 192.168.178.117.9000, and let's create an account here while we are at this place, and click create a user. And that's it. We have the Portainer set up. One thing I want to do, go inside the account, my accounts, and choose dark theme, and click then on environments, click on the local, and rename that to say DietPi template, and apply. So that's it. This is a template. This is a Portainer installed inside DietPi template, which will be automatically created every time we use the template to clone a new fresh virtual machines. Now let's install Portainer-Agent. Let's go back inside the mount, DietPi user data, Docker, and inside this folder, I have another folder called Portainer-Agent. Navigate inside cd Portainer-Agent, and in here, I hope this time I'll pick the right command, which is this. We need to create a file called docker nano docker-compose YML. And now left click and paste. And a couple of things we need to change is where it says image 263, we delete all of it up to colon and put the latest. And that's it, and nothing else we need to change here. Everything can stay as default. Control X to write, Y to confirm, enter to close. And now sudo docker, if I can type correctly, compose up-d. And right now Docker, using docker compose file and instructions inside, creating a Portainer-Agent for us. So let's wait for this to go. This should take quicker to install than the actual Portainer, but anyway, I'll leave this, I was about to say I'll leave this running, but it's done it. So right now, if I go sudo docker ps, I have Portainer running, just in case if I want to use Portainer as a main system of this virtual machine, or all the future virtual machines, or I can use Portainer-Agent to connect to this from another virtual machine, which I might dedicate to be my master of the Portainer. There's a lot of things like the Docker Swarm and etc., which we might cover in the future. I'm still a bit new and like not really gathered all the stuff that is useful. Well, I can't really fully understand the Docker Swarm at the moment, so we're gonna talk about that once I know a lot more than I know now, if that makes sense. Anyway, so we have that running. So Docker installed, Docker Compose installed, SAMBA server activated, and we have Portainer-Agent installed. I can say 100% sure that this virtual machine is ready to be converted into a template. So we need to install QEMU Agent. To do that, we need to, first of all, make sure that this system is updated. So apt update. Let's make sure this virtual machine is up to date. Okay, it says permission, so sudo space su converts you back into a root. So apt update. Once update is done, apt upgrade space -y to auto accept any upgrade prompts, and just see nothing is installed. Right. Let's install QEMU Agent. Apt install QEMU guest agent and press enter. It's right now going and checking all the packages it requires to get this installed. And it tells me that it's going to use 4,800 kilobytes. That's fine. I click OK, and installation is done. Next thing, we need to make sure that QEMU Agent is enabled. So type systemctl enable QEMU Agent, you can type, you can start typing QE and then press space, should autocomplete. Enable QEMU guest agent. Okay, so that's fine. Next thing, what we need to do is type power off and shut down this virtual machine. Go back inside the Proxmox. Under options, find the option QEMU guest agent, and it says enabled. That's fine. Click close. Under summary, right now it says guest agent not running. That's fine because we obviously turned the virtual machine off. Let's start virtual machine again. And as you can see, 192.168.178.117. So QEMU agent is working, and Proxmox will have more power to control to this virtual machine, especially when you need to shut it down or restart, or when you're shutting down the Proxmox as an old server. All the virtual machines will shut down or restart faster than if you're not running QEMU agent. Plus, every virtual machine we're going to create from this template automatically will start showing IP address here instead of going inside the terminal and trying to figure out what IP address the DHCP server assigned to this virtual machine. So yep, virtual machine is running. Let's log in back into this. Everything is fine, and just I'm going to write shutdown space and now close that. Virtual machine is shutting down. Let's wait. Here we go. And now I right click on this, convert template, and click yes. I can because there's a snapshot which I created before. That's fine. Templates will not allow you to do snapshots. That's why it's shouting at me. So right click and convert as a template. And here you go. We have a template of virtual machine. In a part 2, I will show you how to set up the template for container, LXC container, for all the containers that you might run in the future. So you will have a container with everything installed and ready to go. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.